Welcome to the Natchitoches Parish School Board May 11th regular meeting. If you would, please silence all of your electronic devices as not to interrupt the meeting. Welcome all visitors and guests and award winners. Glad to see all these smiling faces out here. Mr. Nicholson, would you like to do the invocation for us?
Absolutely.
And Ms. Page, would you do the pledge?
All right, please bow your head. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Revels, can we have a roll call for attendance?
Mr. Danzy, Mr. Matoir,
Here.
Mr. Benefield,
Here.
Mr. Harris,
Present.
Mrs. McGaskey, Ms. Palmer,
Here.
Ms. Phelps,
Here.
Ms. Harvey, here. Mr. Fredu,
Here.
Mr. Nicholson,
Here.
and Ms. Page.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. This is an extremely busy time of year. Board members, if you remember, we have a number of graduations next week, starting with Lakeview running to NPTCC and then Niagara Central. Of course, we also have kindergarten graduation, 8th grade graduation, and we have 349 graduates that are going to receive their diploma as seniors in Natchitoches Parish, which is a great accomplishment. And I'd like for us to recognize those folks right now. Thank you. With that means that we will have that many 17-year-old juniors moving up into their position who probably will know everything. So God help us all and their parents. So Superintendent Eloy, will you take off the report?
Yes, sir. So if you recall from last week, we were just excited about all things music, and we had a couple folks that weren't able to be with us because they were specifically doing some stuff that involves music. So we wanted to make sure that they still were recognized and awarded. So the first person, and this really centers around this large ensemble festival, but we have someone here who has taken on Natchitoches Central. He's in his first year over there as the full-time band director. He's hit the ground running. I believe, based on what we've been doing with our feeder schools and what he's currently doing at Natchitoches Central, that we're going to see a band that gets, 60, 70, maybe even over 100 folks in the near future, which is what we want because we want a winning football team and we want a band to support that. So I want to call up Mr. Michael Thurber for his, what he's doing at Central in general, but then also for his superior rating at Large Ensemble Festival. Mr. Thurber here. Yeah, there he is. We just have a small little certificate for you to congratulate you on the Large Ensemble, and we're just excited for what you're doing and all the good things we keep hearing.
Thank you. Thank you. The support all of y'all have provided for building the band program up at Natchitoches Central has been immeasurable this past year. Day one band camp taking over the program as a first-year teacher. First off, I'd like to recognize a couple people that have been very crucial to what we've been able to do with this program. We have our assistant band director, Miss Emily Tony, also in her first year of teaching. And Dr. Jeremy Dowden, who runs the talented instrumental music program at our school. From taking over the program on year one as full-time teacher to taking the program where it is now, we've had a lot of support from you guys. We're on track to have just over 80 members for this upcoming year. Wow. We're going to look to keep growing the numbers and keep the superior ratings coming. So thank y'all and all your support for the performing arts. Yeah, Chiefs.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And our next person, I had to ask him how he wanted to be introduced. He's first trombone in the Shreveport second trombone. Sorry. He's also the band director at Province Hall. He has revitalized that program at Province Hall, which then again helps Central because we now have students going ready to be in the high school band. And then also he helps develop talent with the talent program, and that's Dr. Jeremy Dowden. And he also helped get this superior rating. So second trombone is still much higher than what I am in the orchestra, so good deal. So that kind of concludes what we've been doing with our music stuff. I hope to be able to come back to y'all next year with even more accolades for these folks, and we want this to be something we talk about every year. We talk about the academics and when our school performance scores come out, but we want to talk about the music as well. And I see one principal in our audience who I know she's excited. That's Miss Crystal Davis, because we are adding band to her campus this coming year, which means we'll have more kids at NJH in it, which means, again, more kids for Mr. Thurber over at Natchitoches Central. We're going to have to probably order more uniforms soon, so which is a good thing. With that being said, I'd like to turn it over to Miss Linda Page, because she has our persons and personnel, or whatever we want to call it, of the year.
Good evening.
So, this is my second best thing. I have to say second because the first best is the Students of the Year. But tonight is the best part after that because we get to recognize the amazing people who work with our students. So, as you know, we were recognized, some of us were recognized last week, the best of the best, and a few of our other staff members. And so tonight, that's what we're here to do. We're going to let the people know that these are our best people, and all of our people are good people, even with the little bumps and bruises occasionally. We have good people and good employees. So I want you to just imagine being in a beautiful, majestic place. It's your imagination. Run with it. I want you to think of maybe the Rainbow Mountains or the Royal Coronation or, I don't know, Wakanda. Think of some amazing place because it's your imagination, and just imagine us having this event there because we really couldn't do it. Okay, so at this time, I would like to just call you up and start with apologies because if we have the wrong name, I'm sorry, because the names are selected, as you know, in 1 year, and then you're recognized the next year. And so some have asked, why do we do that? Well, because we don't know who the winners are until the summer. Okay? So I'd like to start with the support person of the year, people of the year, because, as you know, these are the people who get the teachers ready. They prepare the students before they get to the teachers. They're the ones who soften them up, check on them, make sure they're okay, make sure, somebody is there for them, and alert the rest of the staff that they may need a little attention that day. So let's start with them. Miss Tammy Hall at Weaver. Is she here? Okay. Lisa Dupree, Province Hall. And the weather didn't help us either today. Miss Cheryl Armstrong, not here. Miss Amy Clark, I know she's here. And I try not to say anything because I could tell 5 amazing stories about every person being recognized tonight, and it's true. But I have to say this. Miss Amy was the secretary at Goldana, and now she's where? In the classroom. This is what it's about. This is what it's about. Miss Sandra. Working on it. Marco Dale. Mr. Dale. He left me. Heather Harris. Miss Mayu. Miss Laura Mayu. Our nurse. Miss Tracy Armstrong. Veronica Slate, Nathaniel Hilaire, Rashad Powell. Okay. Our teachers of the year, Miss Sherry Tyler, Mr. Rodney Mezier, Amanda Dollar, that's a beautiful new baby, Miss Morgan Lacasse, Miss Addery Stuckey,
Ms. Page,
okay, yes, sir.
and Ms. Stuckey's student just won the theme, the naming the street for the railroad depot.
Surprise. Miss Stuckey. I was going to talk about her a little bit later. Miss Stephanie Sewell. Walker, Christine Walker. Ryan Williams. Miss Erin Ollier. Miss Rebecca Keller. Thank you. Miss Barbara Hillman. Please check the Cindy Ewan. Lakeisha Campbell. Miss Rodriguez, Sue Rodriguez. Susan Yoakum. Sherry Johnson. Emily Strahan. Kelsey Korn. Thank you. Leslie Hurd. Okay, and please check to make sure I haven't given you two. Some of them are sticky. So I would like to say that out of the ones listed here, Miss Addery Stuckey was also named as our regional teacher of the year. This is probably not grammatically correct, but she's a bad girl. She really is. I don't care if you want to or not. You're going to do well with Miss Stuckey. That's just a matter of fact. She does not play. You're going to do well with Miss Stuckey. District winner and the regional winner, so I'll just give them. District support person, Ms. Clark. Yeah. And I say the principals last, and I don't know what you feel about it, but I can tell you what, if the food is cold, it's the principal's fault. If there are mosquitoes in the building, it's the principal's fault. I don't care what happens, it falls on the principal. So it is, I believe, the hardest job we have. And it helps when they have great staff members to get the job done. But it is truly, truly not for the faint of heart. So at this time, I'd like to recognize Miss Crystal Davis, and I can't ever leave off her mother. But I have to recognize her mom too, because we have two principals because of Miss Davis, Miss Brenda Davis. And so I just think that's pretty amazing. Thank you. I want to thank the family members who have said ugly things about us because you were waiting on your family member to go on vacation, come to bed, take a little nap or something in their grading papers, or worried about whether or not this child will eat, Saturday and all of these things. It is not unnoticed. We thank you.
Ms. Page, it's important to know too, one of the reasons that Ms. Davis received that award is because she took East out of failing status and increased its SPS score by a letter grade, and I think there's a possibility she may do that again another year in a row, increase the letter grade. So good things are happening over at East, and I think it's everyone, but we can say leadership matters. So thank you. So real quick, I just want to say to all those people out there who received an award and were recognized, there's a quote by Miss Rita Pearson. If y'all have ever watched her TED Talk, y'all know who I'm talking about. And she says, every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists they become the best they can possibly be. I think everyone in this room who received that award probably encompasses that statement, and I just want to thank you for all the blood, sweat, tears, energy, and countless hours that y'all put into the job. And I don't just say that on behalf of the school board and as superintendent. I say that on behalf of someone who has students in the system and lives in this parish. So thank you so much. Mr. President, that concludes my superintendent report.
Thank you. Should you like to speak to an agenda item, please secure a form in the back of the room, complete the form, and pass it to the front so we can recognize you with that agenda item. Board members, we have several things that are staring at us, and some of them are time sensitive. They, if you'll look at your annual Tier 3 personal finance report, which is due May 15th to the state. Let's don't be late with that because Board of Ethics gets a little annoyed. Also, we have some mandatory training for this spring, and it's on your email. Ms. Revels sent it out. So you have until May 12th, which is Friday, to get it in. So let's.
That's the automatic vector training, Ms. Revels.
Let's pay attention to that. Ms. Revels, you don't remember sending that out?
It comes automatically as long as you're put down as a employee of the system. It gets sent to you automatically.
So Ms. Revels is Robo now, huh?
Yes.
Okay. But anyway, let's don't drop those time fences and make sure that we do everything on time. Okay. Any questions about those items? Ms. Revels has all the answers, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'd like to move to the consent agenda.
I will offer.
Second.
We have an offer by Pastor Harris and a second by Mr. McTwire to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay. And that should take care of that.
Mr. Benefield, if
That's
I
all
may,
items.
The item C, the Hot Springs, the Southern Regional Leadership Conference,
Yes, ma'am.
I'll need a response from everybody by mid next week
Okay.
if you plan to attend, so that I can go ahead, because I believe they've opened up registration for it.
That's
I'd
great.
like to go ahead and get hotels booked first.
That's good. Okay, so would you please send that email out? And when you
Yes.
do, I'll send a text to remind everybody to check.
Yes.
Make sure, because we don't want anyone to have to stay in a different location that chooses to go. Okay. Section 4, informational reports. Ms. Washington?
Yeah, actually go to F. That's the addition with Miss Washington's written report.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw my name twice. I know. Good afternoon, everybody. Did Dr. Eloy, do you know if everybody got a copy of the?
It's on board docs, but I see Lee's having some sort of trouble.
It's-
But everyone else has it. Oh, there he goes. Okay, good deal.
Okay, just to report a summary, of course, our goal is to get equipped 100% staff, all routes covered, plus have 2 sub-drivers, to cover absenteeism. So that's our goal all year, just to make sure that we stay completely staffed. Right now, we're currently down 7 drivers, but we have 4 that's in our pipeline, and we're still recruiting daily. We have a job fair coming up the end of the month at the unemployment office. We try to do that at least every couple of months to put it out there that we are hiring. Also, too, we put in the K through 2nd grade binders. They send a folder home at the end of the year, and we put a flyer in there so the parents, when they open it up, they'll see that. So we did that. We still have our sign-on bonus. If you come in as a driver with no experience, we do train you. You get $2,000 paid out in increments. And if you have your credentials, your CDL, with your endorsements, it's $3,000. And then for the employees that refer you in, they also get a $2,000 referral bonus. So we're just trying to turn every stone over, trying to get people in with, as well.
And we're also going to be reaching out, we have already, to some of our principals, because I think some of our teachers did not realize that they could also be drivers for y'all, and we've had some interest here lately. So.
And a coach is Mr. Coleman also, too, at the high school. He encouraged all of his coaches, where they can get their CDL license to drive. And like we told them before, we will train them, and everything. But when they come in, so they can drive for their athletic squad. But then some of them also drive for us, for home to school routes as well. So we encourage that as well, to be able, you come to the yard, get your bus, drive to school, you stay there all day with school, get out of school, get on your bus and come back, So it just adds more money in your pocket for it, I know last time I spoke with Mr. Chad and some other members, when we were having issues with when it rains, a really heavy rain, and a lot of roads are impassable, especially in the rural area. So I put a list of the roads that if it does, it's a heavy rain. Now, a light rain like today, even though it didn't saturate it, we're okay with that. But when it rains for a few days and our buses slide, and a lot of the parents, they work with us and bring them, to the end of the road. But these are the roads that are we can't go down them. And the other roads are just repairs that we've reported to the parish that we just needed, to where it's affecting our buses and everything. So that's just a list of the roads that we have problems with.
Ms. Washington, who is your liaison with the parish as far as these limbs and things like that? Who do you contact?
I have it at my desk. I'm off the top of my head. I don't know off the top of my head, but I do.
I contact is, and I don't know his last name, but it's Dustin Hightower with President Richmond's office.
Okay, it was a lady that I spoke with.
I think we need to coordinate our things through one person, especially one that we get results from.
Okay.
Because otherwise, we don't need those guys just to fill out a report and put it in a box somewhere.
Yeah, and I understand, but that's what our thing is right here as far as the repairs on the roads, and like I said, our goal is this summer just to work on recruiting and bringing more people in.
Yeah, that Doolittle
Road for
Road.
the next school year.
That Doolittle Road in Marthville is notorious.
Yeah, I hear about it all the time.
Ms. Washington, so Hart Road's under construction right now.
Huh?
Before that started, did the parish contact with any info, any timeline? Did they contact y'all? Okay, I figured that. Thank you.
No, because actually, we did. We have some drivers that live on Hart Road. That's how we knew about it. But beforehand, we didn't know anything about it.
Do you know if there's any pending repair for any of these roads?
No, ma'am. I know they were working on, I think, Harmony Road at one time. A bridge was out, but it's not listed up here because they repaired it. And so that was the only one that they did, but I think I got that from the parish. They sent an email out to let us know when it was going to be closed and how long it was going to be closed.
I need to get that drainage on Harmony Road. That water backs up and creates a mess.
And if y'all recall, our goal for next year is, despite some of the spotty communication from other entities, once we have the information, the goal next year is to be able to do that robotic messaging to parents that gives Echo the ability to send that stuff out. Like, for instance, Hart Road is, whatever the message is, but give them more autonomy to communicate better to parents.
Yeah, Ms. Theus and I had a meeting and to get her the information. So over the summer, we can hopefully get that situated. So when school starts up again, we will be able to let parents know via robocall or text that, if a bus is late or is an alternate bus and things like that.
Down 7 drivers, is that 7 routes, or is there multiple routes for one driver?
No, that's down. That's 7 routes.
7 routes.
Uh-huh.
What is there a limit on a route a driver can cover in a day?
Not really, because some routes are shorter. We have some routes that are like 30 minutes, and they can go pick up their kids, take them to school, then go back and cover another. And also, too, we have staff personnel that's actually working in the office that has CDLs. And so when we're short, then they'll go out and drive as well.
And board, just to today, I don't think is the proper time because we're going to have to spend some time on it. But one of the agenda items at the board retreat is some discussions we've been having with Echo Corporate on how do we address this in a long-term situation. Because nothing that Ms. Washington has done is a fantastic job, but basically we are surrounded by districts that are compensating at a different rate. And so we're having those conversations, but it's a little too early to put that out completely because there's no real plan yet, but we want to discuss that with y'all at the retreat in a more in-depth manner. So, and I think
Thank you.
that's a lot of Ms. Washington's problem.
Thank you.
Frustrate, that's the better word. Thank you.
Glad you both.
I didn't want to say that,
Thank you, Ms. Washington.
Okay.
Thank you for the report and the road issues. I
Okay.
knew it would be a long list.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, guys.
So, Ms. Washington, to your knowledge, we don't have any buses that's being overloaded to your knowledge,
To
right?
my knowledge, we don't. For the fact that a lot of the routes, like I said, that are short, they've been going back out. So everybody's stepping up right now, and they know that we're short, so they don't mind. They're going back and doing it. And the people that are doing it may push the kids back maybe 15 minutes getting home, so it's nothing that's just outrageously being late.
But and I'll say this, and I think Mr. McTwire mentioned this one time, the first person who, if that ever is an issue, it needs to be the bus driver because ultimately they are initially liable for that. And then obviously Echo doesn't want that because it's not good for anyone involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that should be known
Yes, sir.
so that it can be articulated to,
Well, because you think about, we had those 3 bus wrecks, which were not our fault, but imagine if the driver had allowed more students on there and you have that wreck, then it becomes a major liability. So I know y'all have reiterated it to your drivers, but yeah, I don't think that's ever a problem to keep
right.
reiterating to them that this is on y'all to not allow it to happen.
And I think it's important for us to do what Mr. Benefield talked about, having someone from the parish give us some details about when to expect some repairs and things like that, so that when we get the robocalls, that we'll be able to articulate to the parents and things like that, and good communication. And that's not any fault of ours, you know.
And I think the communication, once the parents, it'll ease their mind, because Dr.
Right.
Lois called me a couple of times. My wife just want to know, and I could give them the answer right off the top of my head, what was going on. But it'll just help ease the mind if they did know. They get a robocall or a text, letting them know what's going on. So, it'll put a peace of mind with them.
'Cause not everyone's married to the superintendents.
Yeah, and it would help for us to get those attention drawn to those roads that have the most travel as opposed to 1 or 2 students all the way at the end.
Yeah.
Well, because to that point, if you send a robocall for a week that says Smith Road is closed, that may get some taxpayers to then go to who they need to put some pressure.
Right.
If you're watching this meeting on the live, I would encourage you highly to contact your parish council member. with your road issues and if it involves a bus. I get a lot of phone calls about it in my area, and sometimes my phone calls don't get answered now. But yes, the more phone calls, the better.
Mr. Fredo, can you speak directly into your mic so that message can get relayed? Yeah, just right
Call
into
your
the mic.
council member about your roads, yes.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Any more questions?
And at the end of the day, Mr. Fredo is not the report. He's just a reporter. The news come to him just like it comes to all of us, and we just report whoever the people are, whether it's the parish or the city or whomever. Don't stop taking our calls, please.
Problem is with the parish roads, not the city roads. That's where it lies, isn't it?
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Washington.
Mr. Shirley, you were omitted, but made a report last. Okay.
Okay,
We're ready.
come on down.
How are y'all this afternoon? Main thing we wanted to let you know and kind of give you an update on was the auction Saturday. Thank goodness
Yeah.
it's over. Hooray. Hooray.
About that.
I think we had 317 total registered to bid, probably excess of 500 people there. As a whole, we got rid of every single thing we had, so we're good to go. And I think the total was around about 145,000.
See the two holes in the top of the bus, canopy bus?
Yeah.
You see the old truck right there? We even got rid of that.
That's a drone? Is that a drone that took those pictures?
That's the Marthaville
Yes,
truck.
sir.
Oh,
That's one of my guys that helped me with it.
Yeah.
He got us some pictures from a drone just so we'd have something cool to show y'all.
So he turned around and called Pipes, you pull it, and he made 300.
Probably. But it's
Smart guy.
But it's okay. It's not in my
Smart
parking
guy.
lot anymore, so I'm happy.
Been there for years and years.
These were 1990 trucks up here, these were so long.
Mhm.
They were at the end of their life cycle, they're 25 years old. And there's that ancient tractor right there. It sold for what, 2,900?
25 or 2,900.
From a distance, it doesn't look so ancient, but you know, it is what it is.
It's one of the old iron style.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yes, it's look. I would have liked to have that just for a yard on it, but my wife would have killed me.
$2,000?
Almost 3.
Oh my God!
Collector item, guys.
Yeah.
Yes. So, do y'all have any questions about the auction? That's all I wanted to update y'all on.
So what are you selling this week, Mr. Shirley?
Anything someone asked me about,
Ice to an Eskimo, I guess.
Tables, I saw them loading up.
Everything sold.
everything, okay.
Everything's sold.
Right.
Tables, I
Shirley?
just wanted to ask.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your hard work. I know that was a lot of work.
It was, but it was actually kind of fun Saturday to watch it go.
It was.
It was pretty neat.
Saw everyone up there in their shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah.
So all of that went back into general funds.
The federal items sold have to go back to federal funds. That goes back to, like Felicia had some.
Yeah. Okay.
Felicia has some, and anything we sold that was paid for by federal has to be traced back to that. But most of it's general, yes.
So anything that was bought from our BRE, same thing?
That's not federal.
I know it's not federal, but it came from
What
our
Mr.
BRE.
Harris is saying is, yes, if Lakeview High School bought a tractor with their BRE money, would that
Yeah.
money go back to
That's
them?
the only
No,
thing I'm saying.
the
because
clarification we had up front was it goes into general because once it's declared surplus, it's surplus for the whole system.
I think that's what may have been said. But I just want us to make sure.
I think that, I don't think,
Designated because we've had so many changes since this stuff was purchased, like y'all done the banding, y'all done so many things, that all this equipment's been moved around several times. I don't
well, and
even
then for,
already funded.
and then some of the items, so with the age of some of those items, I think some of them you could track and say this was bought in 2000 with Lakeview's BRE or whoever's, and some of the other items probably predate districting and all sorts of stuff. So there might be some trouble with the paper trail, I would think, on some of it.
How much y'all say,
I would,
a hundred and some thousand?
I would hope that,
About 145, I'm thinking.
I would hope that this will make us have a better paper trail then.
Well,
We can actually track it down, but I'm just saying, you might find a lawnmower that's currently in Natchez Central that was
Okay.
purchased up in Lakeview because they purchased it, it makes sense that they swap.
Yeah, and when I talk about paper
That
trail,
should be, but
I'm
that
talking about
should,
50-year-old items.
feel that should be, documented if that happened. You know, that's the only thing I'm saying.
yeah, we need to
Inventory.
do a little more, a little better asset management.
Right, and this is no reflection on
Yeah, yeah.
anybody that we have here now. I'm just saying, you know, from now on, we need to make sure.
I agree. The asset management needs to be a little bit bigger.
Big ticket items, I mean, the mowers maybe not so much, but
They actually
tractors.
said 5,000 of it needs to be asset maintenance.
Gotcha.
So if you're buying a little lawnmower, it's one thing, it's not a problem, weed is no problem, but if it's one of these machines, yes.
Any other questions?
We could have made a whole lot more if we wouldn't have give everything away at Clutcherville. We'd have sold all that stuff, it'd probably been another $100,000.
If I'd been here in 2018, it'd been different.
Anyway.
Give a lot of stuff away we should have been selling.
Yeah, that red iron for sure. Okay, thank you,
Any other
Ms. Shirley.
questions? All right.
Ms. Page has stepped away, and Ms. Hicks, does she have anything?
There was no addition.
Okay, good deal. So, Mr. Wascom, I think you have the floor for the next couple of reports.
Finance, facility service.
Wait. Before we do that, we need to go to D&E on informational reports.
Oh, yeah, there.
Anything?
Were there any updates on the sales tax report or budget report?
Okay, before we move to Ms. Tankia's report, something that we need to discuss, board members, and not so much discuss, but just recognize staff and teacher appreciation. We handed out cakes earlier this week, and also there's nurses. This is Nurse Appreciation Week too, and we'd like to recognize all those folks that are inside our system that do wonderful work every day, that just, they go unrecognized, and you know, you ask the question, and these people are always there and do the things that are necessary to keep all our people safe. So I'd like for us just to recognize those people.
As well as our lunchroom.
Everybody.
It's the staff. It's staff and teacher. That's right.
They were, I think it was Monday for them.
Mm-hmm. So, Mr. McTwire, what kind of cake did you deliver?
Huh?
I saw a picture.
My son graduated from Probation and Parole Academy. That's where I was.
Congratulations.
He's done, huh? He's done. That's good.
He's off the payroll.
Ms. Palmer?
Yeah.
Ms. Palmer, we're ready.
Okay, item A, adopt resolution attached to levy taxes for 2023, Mr. Watson.
This is one I give every year about this time. It's the one I submit to Tim Page. This is the amount of what we're authorized to do. The ones I generally have to change is the ones in the bond. It says bond issues. In District 7, we were able to lower from 8 mils to 6 mils, and in District 9, we were able to lower from 6.9 to 6.6.
So you rolled them back that far?
Hold them back, yeah.
Good.
Because your taxable assets go up, you can lower it down.
Can we get a motion in a second, please, before we start discussion?
Thank you so much. I'll go ahead. I'll second.
So,
Mr. Frady offered a motion. Pastor Harris seconded it. Okay.
so you will see this every year about this time.
So we rolled it back.
Just those two. Under the ones that says bond issues right there, it says consolidated 7.
Collect.
7 did, right? We did.
I don't know if you remember, Mr. Harris, that was near 10 mils. At one
Right.
point.
Right.
Just enough to pay the bills.
That's all we're required. We're required to have just that.
So, Mr. Wascom, you don't need to read anything, do you?
No, sir.
Okay. Can we have a roll call? If there's no further discussion, can we have a roll call, Ms. Rebels?
Mr. Matoir?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Ms. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Fredo?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
And Ms. Page?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay.
Item B, request to advertise for a combination walk-in freezer cooler bid. Ms. Hicks?
I'll offer.
Second.
We have an offer by Mr. Matoir and a second by Mr. Nicholson. Any discussion to advertise for this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Item six, I'm sorry, C, update to 2023-2024 salary schedule. Mr. Benefield?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Matoir,
Second.
any second?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ms. Phelps. Great. This is the item that we discussed last week. It met favorable in committee, where we are anchoring down the January MFP payment, which is going to be included in your 12-month check, spread out over the course of 12 months. So if you get 9 checks, it gets pulled into that. The second,
At the bottom.
yeah, it's highlighted at the very bottom of the first item. We had discussed this last year, but somehow it eluded some folks, and so we're just readdressing. The next is the uncertified full-time employees of the district head coach.
Oh, I'm sorry. This right here was page 9. It would address the MOU with NSU pay. So once again, that's a net zero for us on this one. The
Okay.
NSU reimburses us all that we pay. They give us a list of the amount to pay. We send them a bill. They reimburse us
That's for the lab schools.
at the lab schools. But because we're the primary with TRSL, that needs to flow through us.
Okay.
So it's always been awkward. This will clarify that. Now, I'm sorry. Now we're on the coaching.
Any discussion about this item? Okay. And the last,
You will notice here, we made a change since our last meeting we put in head coach. I think that was at Mr. Nicholson's request. We did increase it. If you're a head coach of 2 sports, you get $3,500 and $3,000. This is actually very close to the old salary schedule for these sports.
That's what I was gonna say. Is it the same amount?
It's very close. We didn't actually give a head coach. It was just like $1,600. That was it. Here you can have 2, and it was just one time. But here you can actually have 2 sports at $1,500. You can get up to $3,000. So, and this is okay. So the first one is if you're currently an employee of the district, and the second one is if you're a non-employee. So generally, the uncertified and non-NPSB employees. These are like usually your fathers and mothers who are helping out parents. Okay, so and also remember here that the individual sports, we realized when we did all this, it said only team high school incentives, but the individual sports were not really recognized if they make it to state. So, and we made an adjustment here since the last meeting was right here. It says per individual winning state championship. So what we decided to do is if you make it to state, it's $100. But if you actually then win state, Dean Johnson said in many years he had it. He said maybe 3 times in all the years that he had done, I think, swim or track. It was track. That 12 years or so.
We also had a question today, I think, from a board member. You see it says swimming, track, golf, tennis. We're not going to put every sport that those are all the sports offered right now that are individual. But if say next, what's that?
Will all of them come?
Correct. So if say wrestling gets added after this, then we would not exclude them. And then when we update it next year, we'll just add that to the line. But
the possibility
we'll
of
not
fishing, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
okay. What other discussion do we have?
On this, that's it.
Did we discuss something about junior high coaches?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we did.
CCP.
Yeah, the
Okay, that's where I deleted. No, there was another thing I deleted. See where it says junior high and elementary coaches, band directors receive 50% of the above multipliers. It used to say stipends and multipliers.
Yeah.
So in other words, it would be this amount you would see up here divided by 2.
But now you don't.
Now you don't, because we actually calculated over, pay and different things and decided this really is the best to stay this way.
Yep.
So this will apply to some stuff this year also, so.
Some of the issues that have come up, people, yes, this fixes all of the.
Well, I mean,
No, this will not apply to this year. This starts July 1.
starts July 1.
Yes.
So, Ms. Revels, can you read the motion that you have in front of us?
Motion to approve updates to the 2023-2024 salary schedule, including coaches CECP and individual sports supplement adjustments, NSU lab staff stipends, and MFP check 12-month dissemination.
Thank you. That's very important that we start moving in that direction, simply because of the things that we've questioned in the past. A year later, we go back and we look through board docs, and it's not really clear. And so this gives us the opportunity to do a search in board docs and say, this was our intent, this is what we did. And so instead of depending on a YouTube video that may or may not be, you can't hear it or you can't see it. So any further discussion on this item?
So we're about to vote on this?
Question.
Okay, so are we voting on this as a whole?
Yes, ma'am, we're taking it in global, unless someone has an objection to any one part.
I do with the MFP money.
Okay.
I don't agree with that.
Okay. And what we'll do is we'll pull it out of the motion and vote it separately. Or we could leave it in there and let vote it up or down. What's the pleasure of the board?
Has all of that included, so we'd have to so amend the motion, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Vote the way it is, if it's up or down, and then we'll go back.
Okay. And that would require us to stop what we're doing and like you said, amend the motion and go back through the entire process. I think the wise thing to do would be voted up or voted down the motion as whole.
I would like to add something.
Sure.
The MFP money should not be named that. It should not be handed out. It's 12-month money. It should be, if you're going to do something in January, it should be called a teaching stipend. It would be just 1 month, and if you're a teacher employed at that time. So this could actually be addressed later. But
If funds are available.
if funds are available, but this could be addressed later
But what
as
do
a
you mean
stipend.
funds are available?
Just that, I mean, if say y'all came to it in December and now it would be a guesstimation from Mr. Wasson, because he'd be at that point, what, 40% through the financial year?
Mm-hmm.
So if he judges that we're 40% through and he would like to, you would like to give it a stipend of some sort, and he says that it's financially available and smart and all that, then he would give the recommendation that he agrees with that. If he looks at it and he says we're 40% through and he does not believe it's, I mean, that being said, y'all can still vote for it. But I would hope that the board would adhere to his financial advice, whether it be good in the pro or in the negative.
So it needs to be seen as a one-time, people only employed at that time stipend. It needs to be seen in that fashion.
Because if you could articulate again why you thought that it was necessary for that MFP money to
The money's
run the way it is.
The money's given to us through MFP
Right.
funds. It's given to us by the number of children that attend our schools. It's given to us monthly, and it's for the entire year.
Right.
So if you receive the money at one time and you continue on through the rest of the year, it's actually the same effect. But if you quit in December, you don't receive money that you were due for September, October, November, and December. You miss out on that money. But if you quit in February, then you got prepaid for February, March, April, and May. So that, it's just not, it's not wise to use MFP as a, now this was passed in 2013 or 12 or 13, and it was done late by the Baton Rouge. You know, they don't always do things with great timing necessarily. And we had just handed it out, and then they just kept doing it. And, but it should never, and that's how it got its name, as MFP money.
But it's always been available for us to give that stipend, as you stating.
So
no, I would say that, I would say.
You have to give it out. Is it stipulated that you have to get it out, give it out throughout the year?
I will say this, that MFP money is handed to us
Did
on a
they
monthly
say
basis.
it? Did the people who gave the money say you have to give it out over the year? That's how it should be done.
No, ma'am.
Was it a district
So
decision?
wait, let me answer the question, y'all. Because
I just wanted to yes
And I'm
know
just
that
trying-
part.
I need everyone to understand why this happened.
He did. He already said why that happened. He
and
said
I-
he gave it out. He gave it out that way. Y'all did it that way because if a person, you give them money in January and a person quit in February, that's not fair. That's what he said. He already said that.
I know, but what I'm trying to explain is why this was done initially. The state gives you extra money in the MFP that year, so they say give it out at that point. Then it becomes a tradition. It wasn't that they wanted it spread out or given in January. We only gave it out in January because when they made it available that time. Then it became a tradition based on the fact that it got hit at that point.
Even kept
Why
its
mess up
name.
the tradition though? Why mess up the tradition? The teachers love the tradition.
I was on the board when it did that. It come and they did it like that. Most parishes do it 12 months. That's how they do it.
MFP.
And they give the option when they got it, they give the option to the parish. But most of the parish do it, but we decided to give it like that. And that's why it was did, but you can change it anytime you want. So if the board pleasure to change it to give it out in 12 months, that's our pleasure to do it. It don't have to, you know, you saying tradition, a lot of tradition we got rid of. So it's up
But
to the
how
board.
many people, like you say, if somebody quit, like how many people were you looking at that were quitting right after they were getting the money? I mean, was it like
About 30, we have 1,000 employees, 30, 40 a month, maybe.
So here's my concern. If we vote to not do this in the monthly pay scale and vote to change it, now we're going to have a lot of employees wondering why their check went down. So they're going to get it all at one time in February instead of monthly. So now they're going to see a monthly reduction. So we have that to look
I would
forward
have to readjust the salary schedule.
The entire
Reduce
schedule.
all these salaries by $583
The entire schedule, yeah.
at all levels.
It's a no-win situation. It's either, they're getting the money. It's whether they're getting it all at one time in February or monthly throughout the year. So no one is actually missing money. But I guarantee you, if we go back, if we take back what we've already done, we will have some ticked off people. And here we'll come back here again with the same
You
problem.
got ticked off people now because they're not getting the money. They're not getting the money how they used to get the money. I know they're getting the money throughout the year, but
So
I guarantee you, if you poll all these teachers in Natchitoches Parish and all these employees, they will tell you they will want the money in January or February when they were getting it.
But I think we also have to realize that, because I have a spouse at home who was not happy about it. But what we're looking at is being caretakers of the taxpayer dollar. And so when every month, if it's 30 people or 300 people that are getting this taxpayer money when they shouldn't have gotten the full amount, I take offense to that. If it's 5 cents, $500, or $5 million, we have to nickel and dime when it comes to being.
We got to do it in everything. When we do it, we got to do it in everything when we nickel and dime. And that means bringing in jobs here that are not beneficial to this parish, where you have people having jobs and they're not doing anything. So if we're doing it like with this, let's do it with everything.
It also reduces the payrolls down from 15 to 14. 13 and 14 being tax checks. and the 15th, this would be a 15th. And so that saves us money too, by not having that 15th run.
When you finish, my concern with it is that we got calls from people that were shocked because they didn't get the check. And I've spoken with, board members who said, well, they should have prepared for it because they know that, there was a change that should have been expected. But they were accustomed to getting that check at the same time, and it was expected, and it was devastating to them financially because they didn't receive it. And so we undoubtedly made the decision, though some of us didn't remember, but I think it would be fair so that it won't be, if it's feasible for us to do it like we were doing it traditionally, is to get some input from the employees and go with the overall percentage, yea or nay. I think it would be maybe a fair consideration if that's feasible for us to do that. I know we have to look at the overall budget and the priorities, but when you mess with people's income and you change and they're accustomed to getting that, it makes a difference.
Ms. Phelps brought up something, Ms. Dot, that's very, very important. You're gonna be lowering the pay on 1,000 employees. And that's not gonna go over well per month.
We're not really seeing a big difference with it being added in each month. Because when you add it in, the taxes and your insurance and everything goes up.
Well, they're saying
So
that
you're not
now,
really
but
seeing
wait until the next payroll comes out and it's
Well, I think we just
$50
need
short
to-
or
we
whatever
need
the
to
amount
ask-
is.
we
Well,
need to
you know-
ask the employees, I think that's a fair way to do it.
Well, I think the problem came up in just how it was done. It didn't really get to the ears of the people or the eyes or whatever the case may be. But now, at the same time, I do fully understand why it needed to have been done. I understand that. The next ideal is what Lee has proposed. If I was a person, I'd probably want me some more money beside that of the MFP. Because the MFP, and I have asked around to some of the other parishes, that's the way they do it. And most of it is because of retirement reasons, the reason they do it.
I mean, I don't know if this is crazy, and I'm just throwing this out there since we're just discussing. Lee, tell me if this is crazy as soon as I say it. But if there's an issue between that, they get paid December 18th usually. They don't get paid again until the end of January. Is there an ability to give your tax check, but hold a certain small portion out to give a January portion of the tax check so it elongates that, almost budgets for people? I just want to put that.
That's the one I wouldn't touch with a.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to.
Answer's yes, you can do that.
Yeah.
We talking the MFP money, this legislative session, they could vote to not even give it to us no more. Then what we got? Then you don't have, they
We have
can
to
either
deal with
vote
that
not to even
change,
give
that's
us
right.
money.
We have to deal with that change,
Out of the
whatever they
budget.
say, we have to deal with it.
Yeah, they could vote not to even give you that extra,
$50,000 is off right now.
and
So-
then if it's a big problem, what we can do
And that's what.
is all the other people, let's take away the $300 and save that.
And that's what I'm.
We don't have to give that, the support people that.
That's the other,
We
that's the other caveat to it.
Did that, a lot of parishes, the support people don't get nothing. But we was kind enough to give it to the support people.
And they deserve it.
Yeah, they
They
deserve it,
as
but
hard as they
We should be
were.
looking for more money to
it's such a
give
big
them.
problem. You can either vote to get rid of it, and then you got that.
And so that's where I'm trying to get to is the state's never going to tell you how this has to be disseminated. But when they send it out in the middle of the year. And so that's when we disseminated it. But their intention, I can tell you after being around other districts and superintendents, their intention was this to get folded into your overall pay structure.
Yeah.
But as we talk about, it is a very opportune point in the year to give a check. Because anyone who's worked in a school system knows that January it's a desert.
It is.
Because you go 6 weeks between paychecks. I'm sure Ms. Page, Mr. Nicholson, everyone can attest to this. But that was not the intentionality with which the state did this. It was just the timing of the year. And then because we do it 1 year, it kind of becomes a tradition, and it's hard to break things once you've done it once, because then people expect it. And obviously that's kind of what we're dealing with right now.
So when Mr. Wascom, I want to clarify, you said after January, or a month, we're losing like 30 to 40 people a month?
Almost every month.
That's every month.
Okay.
It would be,
We have about 40
you'd
people.
have to
there.
look at after that January, you could pull up all the personnel reports from all those months, and that would tell you how many were paying out too soon. So we could actually probably get that for y'all by next week. It wouldn't be a hard bit of math to do, but I would say it's over 100 people, definitely, maybe even close to 200, just depending on the back and forth.
It should be on board docs.
I suggest,
Well, that's what I'm saying. You could
Yeah.
pull the board docs, and you could.
I suggest every January you
But
recommend.
then there's also people who are not getting the benefit of it. So you'd have to look at both those groups.
Okay, any additional information? We have a motion and a second on the floor. Ms. Revels, could you do a roll call vote?
I still want to vote separate. I don't want to vote, because I don't want to vote with the MFP money in there.
What would have to happen, you would have to make an amendment and get a second on that amendment to do that.
And then a unanimous.
Well, I would like to make an amendment to take the MFP payment money out of this vote, out of this motion that's on the floor. And
So what are we doing with the motion that's already out there?
Can I ask this question, though? If we take the MFP out of this,
we
wouldn't
would
that
have to
affect
then
all of these other
vote.
numbers too? Like we
No, what we're
Up or
doing,
down?
this
We'd have to
statement
vote on
just
this.
is stating what is already in there.
Motion.
If you decide to remove the MFP money, I have to present an entire new system.
Correct.
Yeah,
So we
but
really
it's
couldn't,
reduced
that's
by
what I'm
5.
asking. So we couldn't vote on the rest of it if
I
we
would have
had
to bring that to
change
y'all next month with the
You
MFP
would have
money
to
set
vote on
aside.
this motion that's just been, that got a second. It got a second, so we would have to vote on that first. If that motion fails, then it goes back to
The original.
the original.
well, we could just vote
Keep
on
us
this
straight.
motion. That's fine.
You second?
Now you're taking it back.
Where are you, Ms.
Yes.
Palmer? You're rescinding your?
I'm rescinding my motion.
Okay, so we are stuck at the original. Ms. McGaskey, are you okay with,
I'm okay with it.
we're rescinding your second? Okay, so we're on the original
Motion.
motion. Ms. Revels?
Mr. Matoir?
Yes.
Mr. Benefield?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
No.
Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Ms. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Fredo?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
And Ms. Page?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay.
Discuss and consider Alliance Compressor ITEP non-compliant.
I'll take that. We discussed this in committee.
The motion.
Oh, it certainly is. Sorry.
Let me see, is that motion?
Motion to approve, no action.
Getting ahead of it. Okay, do we have a motion on this item to discuss it?
I'll offer.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Reverend Harris, a second by Ms. McGaskey. This was the ITEP for Alliance Compressor where they submitted their information to the state late. We have a number of opportunities to do things. We can take no action in the way of not just of going ahead and passing this, that we're not concerned about the noncompliance, and we need to have a better way of wording this.
Mr. Benefield?
Yeah.
The motion is
Yeah,
No
motion.
action.
for not, it's
No action, okay.
Right.
That's great.
Motion.
Thank you.
President Benefield,
Sure.
and I have a couple of comments too, whenever.
Sure.
So we don't have nobody from Alliance to explain what went on?
So I reached out via phone to them last Wednesday and told them when we would be meeting on both. He just explained to me that they were late in their compliance. He pointed out that they actually exceeded, but I did not get specificity. I did offer them the ability to come to either meeting. I'm not sure if it was a scheduling conflict or not, but they're not here.
Second question, I know we have several teachers on the board. If you had a student that you told had to turn in something today, and they didn't turn it in today, what would y'all do?
Get her X.
Well, and building on what you're saying, my comment is this whole board is held to a very strict, high standard when taking care of the public's trust and money. And I think they should be held to the same standard. We all have deadlines, we all have due dates, and I mean, I totally plan on supporting no action, but at what cost to the board? Not monetarily, but it just shows a lack of consideration on their part. And I'm sorry to be so blunt about it, but that's a large payroll. I know it was a few years ago, but we need our corporations to do better. We're held to a higher standard. They should too. And I'm sure we'll see more of these because it appears they're catching up on paperwork. But
I got an email today.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's
You know,
noted
like-
that
you
they
know,
were
like-
late and inappropriate.
I choked all y'all with Marco, but Marco tried. It wasn't that they didn't turn in, they said.
Right.
This is negligent of, alliance, and then they want us to correct their negligence.
And like you said, there's no one here to
That
at
goes
least
along with
explain.
Think enough to come to speak to us. and
Exactly.
tell us what we
Come in and offer an explanation
Yeah,
from the board.
Or really, truly an apology.
Yes.
And I know they hired what they were supposed to hire, but still, you
Well,
know,
one of them
if our bank note was due tomorrow and we decide to pay it, Monday, I guarantee we get a penalty on that, with that.
Well, one of these has required jobs 5 with a payroll of 150,000. They landed 15 jobs with a payroll of 159,000. That's only $9,000 difference, and then they were late. So something doesn't add up to me, and they're not here to answer those questions.
Yeah.
So I think there should be some action on this.
We can amend it.
So I think we should amend the motion, but I don't know the action to take. This is my first
Yeah,
experience.
they need to come and like
Well,
you said.
it's literally unlimited, Mr. Friday. We can, we
they
can,
can
no, you can't. May 27th is the
But wait, is there a
deadline.
deadline
There is
that
a deadline.
we're,
We have to have,
so now their problem is our problem?
Yeah, we'll vote on it, May 28th.
The problem is if you do vote,
That's good. Well, we're gonna be late like this.
just for clarification, if
Yeah.
you are late, then no action is.
no action takes place.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
So, the sky really is the limit. We can, take no action. We can, penalize them for that 1 year, whatever that, amount will be. And they forfeit that, or we can, go into a percentage of that. So there's a number of things that we can do.
If we penalize them, will there be anything negative that comes back to us?
Leah have a little bit more money, you can,
Ill will, and that's about it.
So we're leaving it
have
up
a
to
little bit
Lee.
more money.
I mean, they are a phenomenal community partner, but I remember this board arguing at length to get them these tax exempt statuses, and to not turn in your paperwork on time, to me, it's just not right.
Well,
It's
they
not
are-
being a good steward of what you were granted.
I think, I'm not gonna say.
They are a good partner. They've talked about some of the things they donated last time, what they've done, but the
Yes.
fact that they're not standing here in front of us
Makes
with
a
an
difference.
explanation,
Yeah, they should be
he
here.
says,
And I did have a conversation, and I apologize if I'm misrepresenting it, because I'm not sure why they are not able to be here. They may have a legitimate reason, but I can't speak to that.
We didn't even get an email, so we don't know how to.
And
Just being considerate. I'm like, everybody else that made comments. It's consideration.
I agree with everything Ms. Phelps and Mr. McTwire said about non-compliance. But I do want us to step back and look at all the different donations they make within the community during the course of a year. You know, we make mistakes here too. Lord knows we're not perfect, But Ms. Phelps is dead on. Hey, this should have been handled, and there should be someone here to discuss it. But right now, the motion on the floor is for us to vote it up or down on no action.
Is this the first time they've fallen short of meeting a deadline on something like this?
For Alliance, yes, that I remember.
And was
That'd
that
be
your-
taken in consideration maybe, and with the fact being, if it were to ever happen again, then absolutely.
As you speak, Mr. Nicholson, we got an email.
Not on the
They
line.
send
Oh,
you,
not on
Not on Alliance.
Okay.
I'll be disseminating.
Coach, let me say this. They've been going through some changes in their administration too. So that may be one of the reasons for some of the things. But again, I shouldn't be the one to say something about that. They should have had somebody here to talk about that.
Definitely.
But I'm just glad they didn't move out of our town,
They could have.
and because they definitely been bought out.
So, Mr. President, can y'all vote up and down, and if it fails, then, or do you need to amend before that potentially occurs?
In the past, has this come up and y'all penalized anyone before?
So it's only
Not to
come
my
up
knowledge.
twice. The
Not to my knowledge.
Marco's situation was they didn't meet their stuff,
But
it
in
was-
years past, when
Wasn't it
benefit
COVID?
was required that
It was
you.
COVID oriented.
Right.
This
That I know
is,
we've never, well, we have never had, like Marco, we've never had that, and we have never had this neither.
Is this COVID related?
no.
This was started in
And
19.
y'all, this is unique.
Marco was
because
COVID related.
just dropped the
because they
ball
tried,
here.
And I know for a fact they tried, they had drive-up interviews and stuff, and they just couldn't hire the people and stuff. With this here, they hired more than what they said, but they didn't turn their stuff in. They was sleeping and didn't turn their stuff in.
And it could have been an employee, and that employee may have been terminated, but we just don't know any of that.
Yeah, if we knew that, if we had someone standing here to give us one simple answer that took 10 seconds, we probably would be fine.
Feel better about the situation overall, right?
Because I would expect an answer from a student as to why they were late.
I'll get your homework.
I would.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Let's vote.
Call for a question.
Yeah, let's vote the existing motion. Ms. Revels, can you do a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Do you need the motion read?
Please.
For clarification, yeah, what is a yes, what is a no on
A
this?
yes means there's no action. A no means that they
Correct.
want to vote it down and we proceed in other directions.
Correct. The motion on the floor is motion to approve no action on a Alliance compressor ITEP non-compliance. Mr. Matoir,
No.
Mr. Benefield,
Yes, no action.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey,
Yes.
Ms. Palmer,
Yes.
Ms. Phelps,
Yes.
Ms. Harvey,
No.
Mr. Fredu,
No.
Mr. Nicholson,
Yes.
and Ms. Page.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Board, I appreciate the candidness of this conversation. That's why we're here. And the views that everyone's taking. That's why we're here. Thank y'all very much. That's very strong, very strong. All right.
It's voted and done.
Yeah, we're good.
We don't need to make it look.
Well, if they're watching this video, they're probably sweating.
They was sweating.
Is this something we should consider for policy in the future?
In what sense?
Like just all of this that keeps coming up? So that
I would say no, because every single scenario is different.
It will be.
You can't really legislate every,
Okay. So Ms. Page did not have any updates?
There is a new item added under personnel.
Okay, Ms. Palmer, are you complete?
Oh, that concludes finance.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
A personnel.
Oh, I see it. Okay. Ms. Rashow, you have the floor, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. About 3 days ago, the State Department awarded us a grant for early childhood guide This is at no cost to our school district. We will join 7 other parishes that has early childhood guide in their district. This person will be trained by the state, by the LDOE, funded through LDOE, but they will be housed under in our federal programs building. It is only viable as long as the grant is available. And so that's something to consider when we advertise for this position. And the most important thing with this position is that they go out into the community and engage with the families in helping them secure early care and education for their children. Any questions, comments?
So bachelor's degree, 3 years experience. That's a pretty good bar to cover.
And that is from LDOE. They provided us with a job description.
Ms. Rashel, let me apologize. We do not have a motion or second on the floor. Apologize.
I'll offer.
Second.
Okay. Got an offer by Mr. Nicholson and a second by Ms. Phelps.
So
Let me apologize.
Person, all the benefits and stuff gonna be paid out of this, or the benefits come from us?
Everything will be paid from the grant.
And what kind of time frame would, for how long? I mean, I know would this person be, depending on the availability of the funds? Is this ongoing? You reapply for the grant so you can continue paying them?
It's actually a pilot, and so that person, if I heard your question correctly, that person will start July 1 and end June 30th. However, between probably April, well, it happened in May this year, May of 2024, the state will reach back out to us and let us know if they still have funding for this pilot.
Okay.
But I can't say definitively how long.
Pilot program.
Well, as of now, 1 year.
1 year.
Ms. Rashel, how will this person be and who will evaluate this person?
Once again, this is a pilot, and so we're early in some of those decisions. I'm not sure if they have not been made at our level yet. But what I hope to do is work with some of the other districts that are a year end. For example, Lafayette shared their job description with me and Jefferson Parish. Those are two of the 7 parishes that are currently involved in this pilot. And so this is the 3rd year of this pilot. We're just now joining this pilot.
So is there any way to measure their success? Have they seen some growth? Or
I really can't tell you. I can get that information for you, but I don't have it with me right now.
Well, that's fine.
Is it a full-time job, or is it just part-time?
It is a full-time job.
And it looked like it is a real full-time, because getting out there with the community.
Yeah, just knocking on doors.
Yes, and working with our community.
Who's not a people's person, I can tell you that much.
Absolutely. So it does include everything in terms of the finances, travel, because they will be traveling, and we would have to compensate them for mileage, et cetera, and in the trainings that are involved at the state level, hotel, state, everything. This will cost us nothing.
It's a win-win.
Win-win.
It should be
Anything
able
else?
to see these other parishes. It should be able to recognize right away whether it's proven to be something effective or not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
Okay. Ms. Revels, could we have a motion and a second to establish the advertisement for this? Can we have a roll call vote?
Mr. Matoir?
Yes.
Mr. Benefiel?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Phelps?
Yes.
Ms. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Fredo?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson?
Yes.
And Ms. Page?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, great. Mr. Danzy's absence, Ms. Page is taking on his executive report. Ms. Page?
7A, an MOU between Natchitoches Parish School Board and Type 3 Early Care Education Center. Ms.
I
Rashel?
will offer.
Got an offer by Reverend Harris, a second by
Mr. Frady.
Mr. Frady.
Am I supposed to read it again?
No, no ma'am, no ma'am. Wait, wait a minute, maybe you need to read it, you know.
I think they add some to the agenda where she got more to read.
That's right. That's right. We gotta ask questions. Ms. Page, you got any answers for this? All right. We've had a chance to read this, board members. This memorandum of understanding. Any discussion on this item?
This is going to some of our local daycares, right? Dealing with the local daycares?
Yes.
Okay. There was a study, you said there was a study done, and the two things we came up with were Fairview and Marthaville.
In terms of identifying them as desert areas.
Okay.
Lacking any quality childcare.
So that's why we were looking at Fairview.
Fairview, yes.
Work out,
Not yet,
not yet.
not yet.
Working on it.
Could we have went the Marthaville route, or was there something that held us up, or was it too late, or?
I will tell you, I came in a year behind this work, and so we actually had the former mayor, Lee Posey, as well as another person that went out into the community and did some survey, had some conversations with with Marthaville and Fairview, and it was determined that Fairview would be the most ideal place to start. Now, I was not in on those conversations, just to be totally transparent. I have the data stating which two areas we needed to look at, but that's as much information that I can provide to you.
And so I guess my question is, with not being able to work out at Fairview, still couldn't go that Marthaville route, or time right now? Okay.
Time, because Marthaville didn't have the problem that Fairview had. Yes, it was the time frame.
Space, right?
Right.
And, yeah.
But I've been working, I've already been talking with Ms. Strahan, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, board members, all in favor of this item, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. But wait, we're not quite, we have to have Ms. Page eject from her report.
Okay.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Board members, before we get out of here, remember your Tier 3 personal report, and you got that report due in Friday. And we also have the 3 graduations for next week. So, Mr. Pritwire, you have a message for us?
We'll join.
Any second? Second, Ms. McGaskey. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Oh.